And welcome into To Your Health. This is the month of March. March normally has March Madness. It's also, from a national perspective, Problem Gambling Awareness Month. And you might say, wait a minute, you said To Your Health. That's because gambling is considered an addiction. Today we have with us Roger Olsen, Resource Development Coordinator
Nice to have
for the
you.
Alabama Council on Compulsive Gambling.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the organization and then basically into the fact that this is an addiction.
Yeah, it's a 501. We're a 501c3 nonprofit group. We receive no state or federal funds. We're an advocacy group, meaning we're the people that are out there and we are speaking up for that small group of people that become addicted to gambling. You know, nobody ever walks into a casino or a poker room and says, I want to become a gambling addict, okay?
Right.
But it happens to 5% of the people that gamble. We're gambling neutral. We're neither for nor against gambling. We train clinicians all throughout the state of Alabama who want to become Alabama certified gambling counselors, and we also oversee the 211 call center, which is where people can call to get help, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in a few more minutes. As far as the disease goes, when the Alabama Psychiatric Association published the DSM-5, it changed the category of compulsive gambling from an impulse control disorder to now an addiction. It has the earmarks of the disease model of alcohol, even though you don't drink anything or you don't inject anything into your system, but it does the exact same thing up here to the frontal lobe of the brain. It affects the chemicals, and the brain actually becomes an addicted brain. If you compare MRIs of a problem gambler and someone on cocaine, those MRIs are going to look exactly the same.
Wow.
Because the same reward center in the brain is affected, okay? And so we recognize that. We want to reach out to people who have, through no choice of their own, become addicted to this. And that's why our theme for Problem Gambling Awareness Month is Have the Conversation, because the general public doesn't even realize this, Jack and Virginia.
Right.
They have no idea that this is an illness, this is an addiction, and it is treatable.
And it's not just a person that goes to a casino. You could be out playing golf with your buddies.
That's right.
You get addicted to betting on every putt. You can be playing a card game in somebody's private home.
Right.
There's just so many different ways. Even small kids, when you go to a place like Chuck E. Cheese, you're getting them involved in gambling because you're paying money to take a chance to win some tokens that you're going to turn. I mean, that's a form of gambling.
It's the
if you're in a
same
civic
principle.
club and you put $1 in the pot and somebody wins the pot for some reason, you gambled.
The cakewalk at the church
Yeah.
function. Yeah, exactly. And another form of gambling is sports betting.
Absolutely.
Yes.
In fact, Jack and Virginia, there are more sports bettors per capita in the state of Alabama than any other state in the United States. And so sports betting is a huge form of gambling here, and it can be just as addictive. And so with this being March Madness, or if you're addicted to gambling, it's the madness of March.
Right.
We want to emphasize, bet on sports, gamble responsibly, but don't bet your life on it.
Because that's exactly what you wind up doing.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the addict, they are not willing to deal with it or acknowledge it, but it's the same as any other addiction. It's a family disease.
Yes.
And
So
maybe,
when you gamble money that you don't have, that should be going to pay for food for your children, or
Rent.
or Alabama Power for your electricity,
gas for your car.
You've got a problem, and normally it's the family who is so aware. And I love the fact that they have access to help.
That's right. Yes.
So everybody should know that. And again, it's
211.
211. Yeah, the United Ways.
It's like, 411 is general information, 911 is an emergency, 211 gives you social services.
And you have qualified people to actually assist these folks and to do something about that.
Yeah, licensed
the
professional
people at
counselor.
211 will take in the call. They're not going to counsel them at that point because they're not but they're going to say, what's your zip code? And we're going to give you the number, and then they can write down the number very easily and get a hold of the counselor who can take care of them.
That's right.
So Roger, let's say that I have someone in my family that I know really should not be gambling.
Okay.
Then my step would be to call 211.
Call us, yes, and get in touch with a therapist or a group there and get that person either to a support meeting like Gamblers Anonymous. If there's no GA, maybe Celebrate Recovery or something along that line, or get them in to see a therapist. And the most difficult part of that, Virginia, is the fact that the addict has to want it for themselves.
Like any
Yes.
other addiction.
That's right. And sometimes the family has to have an intervention with the gambling addict in order to get that to happen.
But that's okay. The first step is you can never solve something that you don't acknowledge.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So even if I'm the person that acknowledges that,
Right.
it has to get your brain
Well,
going.
that's the reason his button and the theme of the month was have the conversation.
Have the
You have to
conversation.
start talking
That's the
about
first
it.
step.
Exactly.
That's right.
Okay, well,
That's right.
thank you. I just think this is wonderful.
Yes.
And for those of you who need help or have someone in your family or your friends,
Yes.
please, you have a place to go.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. Because there's a real problem in the state of Alabama with problem gambling.
Right.
And people aren't aware of it. So
And again, compliments too. I have to give credit to Wind Creek, or because they
Yes.
contribute funds
Right.
to help
Yeah.
support
They
this.
do.
the Porch Band of Creek Indians.
And
Yes.
essentially, they're taking responsibility.
Yes.
Yep.
Social responsibility.
Right, and
yeah.
I do admire that.
That's right.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Roger.
My
Remember,
pleasure.
It's
My
211, and we'll be right back right after this.